Hello, everybody. Welcome to API Unlocked, everything that you ever wanted to know about API dating traffic. I'm Autumn. I'm one of the senior media buyers for Red Walking, but hopefully I won't have to talk a lot. I'm sure everybody lost their voice at the party last night, so hopefully all of you saved a little bit for some of these questions. Now, all of you can introduce yourselves because of course you know yourself better than I do, but one interesting fact that I noted, and of course please confirm, that almost every single one of you has more than 10 years of experience in at least the online industry or dating itself. So a bunch of legends we have here. Yeah, that's correct?
Correct.
All right, Ute, if you want to go ahead and start, introduce yourself and we'll move down the line.
Sure. My name is Ute. I'm the head of media buying for Dating Lines, be a direct advertiser, and I'm happy to speak here about API and why that's a good thing for advertisers and publishers, I guess, as well.
Thank you, Moritz.
My name is Moritz. I'm with Traffic Partner. I'm actually only 8 years in the dating industry, but 15 years in online marketing. And I'm CMO at the company, and we deal a lot with API topics, so glad to be here.
Hello, I'm Lewis. I'm Director of Sales of our group. We've got Dating Leads, which is a kind of network. We've got Dating Clicks, which is an ad network, CPC, CPM. We have Dating Stars, which we've put downstairs, which is our in-house product. So yeah, a bit of everything. Does collecting coffee count as being in the industry? because then I was a few years more.
Did you learn anything during that coffee collecting?
Yeah, Americano.
Jenny Gonzalez. I have been in the online dating industry for like 15 and 18 for about 12 years. And I always like to say that I grew up in dating and API is my weapon of choice.
Hello everybody, my name is Ahmed. I'm an IT and tech entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Taxi Group. We have different projects. We have traffic projects like affiliate networks, buying teams. We have software as a tracker, as an API tool, and educational program. I've been in the industry for 9 years and in the marketing, advertising and marketing since 2017. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you guys. Of course, a lot of us are working in the industry, but for somebody who is maybe new into it, can we get a brief explanation of what API is? And of course, then we'll go through why each of you chose to work so heavily with API. Whoever wants to go first.
API is just the easiest way to describe it. It's just two systems talking to each other. If you want a more technical explanation, someone can maybe help me out here. But two systems talking to each other. And normally when it comes to lead generation API, it's accepting or rejecting a lead. So instead of sending in directly a lead to an advertiser, and the advertiser accepting everything and paying a price for that benefit of everything, or they can buy an API where it's effectively cherry picking on certain filters, like is a user already in our database? No, he's not. Let's buy this one, but we won't buy the next one because he is in our database. So yeah, two systems talking to each other.
It's a way to submit information to a system without having to go to a lander. Usually you can collect the information on a pre-lander and keep that in your database and submit the information to one or more advertisers and see who wants to take that lead based on the parameters that you collected.
Exactly. I want to hear from each of you, of course, either from an advertiser point of view or a publisher point of view, because some of you do both, some of you do one and not the other. So why do you guys work so heavily with API from either, like I mentioned, the advertiser standpoint or publisher? But if you want to go first.
Yeah, I can go first for the advertiser side. For us as advertisers, API is great because it means we can focus more on the product because the flow comes from the publisher. They deal with the sign up, the questions, and we don't need to invest that much time to do this. It's their specialty, it's where they are best, and we can then also compete with some big players like you guys in a cascade, because we are quite new. So our database is relatively empty, so we accept a lot more than the really established products. So for new advertisers, it's a great way to get leads at a relatively reasonable price.
Yeah.
In addition, as an advertiser, I can kind of control the traffic I'm getting a bit better, because I see the email address, for example, before I pay for it, so I can decide by myself if I want it or not. Downside, of course, is the competition, because someone who's sending you traffic on API will most likely not be the only one. There will be a bunch of others trying to overbid you in any way. From a publisher perspective, you have way more potential to monetize your traffic, like easily, with one connection.
As a publisher,
Basically, just to continue from that, if I know that if you cascade, as they were saying, you've got your best VPC offer at the top, who's cherry picking maybe the most but paying you the most for it, but instead of getting nothing for a lead that isn't doing very well, or sorry, a lead that is already in the top one's cascade product, at least you'll get something for it. And yes, it will be less, but it's not zero. So a publisher can send their leads to one product, they say no, send it elsewhere, send it somewhere else, send it somewhere else. So you're always going to make something for your lead versus one thing or nothing. Makes sense.
okay, the easy explanation before with display, you used to send everything to your best advertiser and hope for the best. As a publisher, when you start using API, you get control of who gets that lead, and that if that lead has already converted on an advertiser's database, you don't waste the click, but you control who it goes to, and overall it increases your APC. So instead of the advertiser having to pay you ridiculous amount of money for a lead, now they can afford to pay you a little less, but overall you're making more money for every single click.
Well, I would say that API is one of the methods of receiving and sending data. I think like all advertisers are not only focusing on API, but as for me, I represent like intermediate site, as agency, as network. So for usually everyone is much more familiar way to send data. It's directly or it's straightly understandable for everyone. With API, you send an array of data, and it's much more complicated way of doing business. Because every advertiser has their own requirements, some you have to meet to make an API. But if you, as an advertiser, receive data, you have much more opportunities to analyze data, to segment it, to price differently with each cost according to your internal scoring. For affiliate, it's again a way to analyze traffic more. But the thing is that working by API needs some skills. And if you're able to do this analytics, to do this work, so you will be successful.
Or you come and work with me, I do all the script for you.
But if I may add one thing, let's not forget about the most important one in this circle, the user. The user with API always gets a fresh offer. So we make sure the user always can see something new, so it's a very high user value as well.
Of course,
Like for the user, it's a high value.
your systems are doing checks, whether it be on email or a cookie, and it already understands if it's registered within your database, and if not, you just move it down the cascade. We're going to go back and forth a little bit on some of the questions, because each of you brought up a really nice point. With Artem, what you were saying about affiliates, do you think and Jenny mentioned about scripts, are there any barriers why affiliates won't start using API? Is it the tech setup? Is it the cascade? What are some of the drawbacks?
Yeah, because it's to send by API, you cannot just deal with one advertiser, because you send lead to advertiser. Usually, if this is big guys, they have like almost from 50 to 80% of database. They are duplicated, and then you get back error and you just lost data. And so you have to build cascades, you have to get connected with the various advertisers to make it work good. but not always affiliate want to go into the hustle, and not always they are able to hire a team of developers. It's way more easier to send by direct link as everyone does. But again, if affiliate sends by API, so they have to build a cascade, they have to have their team of developers and solution for that.
That is the biggest problem. It's very technical, and not only is it very technical, every single advertiser, once you get the API documentation, is the most creative thing in the world. Everyone just does whatever they feel like it. So not only do you have to be technical, but it takes a lot of troubleshooting to understand how each system works. So usually, I'll pitch myself again.
Yeah.
Go with someone that has done all of that for you already. Because what we do, we just need the email passing on the link, and then we do all the scripts on our side. That way, even people that are not so technical can manage to do API.
Yeah, there's also bad areas that, as you say, with all these advertisers, you're working with many advertisers at the same time. They all have separate requirements, they all have separate metrics that they might measure performance on. One person's gold could be another person's trash, and you expect it to be gold and they don't. And it's the same for the publisher as well. They might be, for them to prioritize your offer at the top, it might be something that you're not so good at. Is it acceptance rate? Is it earned per accepted request? Is it, a whole variety of things. So you've just got to kind of find the sweet spot about how you can work, but also be adaptable about how sending traffic. And okay, I know in Italy they work best with this kind of user, but I know in Netherlands they don't like this, so I need to do this. So you do need to have your kind of finger on the pulse of, it's not just a case of switching it on and letting it go. You do need to be adaptable and changing.
But it gives you control.
Yes, it does.
And once you've done or you went through all the effort, it's a lifetime system, so it will work most likely for the next 5, 6, 7 years until something new comes up. But it's an investment once, and then you can, in theory, connect to everyone else, and it opens up many doors by just investing into technology, which is not super complicated, to be honest. I mean, if I understand it from a general perspective, it can't be that tough.
But not always you have to invest. The thing is that there is now there is already exists the solution to help affiliate and advertiser to connect faster. So actually this is what we do in Marksel, and it's a platform who allows to work affiliates with different advertisers. As we have advertisers already connected by API, this is like our pain to make integration, make the setup, everything. So what they have to do to build a cascade, to connect a landing page with a passing, and send traffic, optimize it, and do it. For now, why a lot of affiliates they want to work by API, but they don't want to make all this like technology stuff to hire a team to hold it.
I think as well for affiliates long term, once you have implemented the system, it's a lot less work to test something new. Because you don't have to set up a new campaign for each product. You have to
At the back, plug and play.
Yeah.
And if someone stops sending pixels in the middle of the night, the system just takes over and sends it somewhere else.
I like the analogies that a few of you used. So one man's trash is another man's treasure, and it's an investment up front, but it pays off in the long term. So one of the questions that, of course, you guys were hot on your mind, what are some tracking issues that you often find with API? That way people can avoid that. Like off the bat, what is the main common issue?
You could have something like, for example, the long wait time. If you have, so for example, when we send traffic on an API, if we see that the advertiser is taking too long to respond to the API request, they're saying it's taking them too long to say yes, we want the lead, and we send it elsewhere. I've seen cases where they take 5 seconds, and this should be done in less than a second.
Milliseconds, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, if the user experience is shit, if they're waiting, and then we have to ask someone else in the cascade and wait for them. So we have to be strict with our advertisers where we send it to be as quick as possible, because if we might send it elsewhere and they're still expecting the lead, that's a tracking issue. They count it, we don't count it, there's a difference.
I think it's not a tracking issue, the reason is the response time, which causes tracking issue. That's the
Tracking
only thing at the
itself
end.
you submit all the parameters.
Yeah.
So tracking is fine. The problem is the wait time for the response. For me, I don't know for everybody else, but Australia is the pain in my butt. Because
Why is
it's
that?
usually, because it, for the setup of the servers, it usually takes like 20 milliseconds to get back, and it's too long. It's too long and not worth it.
And I don't think that sometimes something changes on advertiser side. For example, credentials like whitelist of IP or something, and everything like will go down. So you have to keep on testing every time to be sure that integration still works. If by some reason advertiser didn't
Notify you?
find about this yet.
I think a quite common problem as well is something that we've started experiencing, and it's kind of coming back to what you said, Jenny, that everyone has something else. It's like the format that the information is being sent to. So we've seen the problem that we need to be super lean on however the location is submitted. Is it an IP address? Is it the country? Is it an actual address? We need to be able to somehow make it into something that will work on our end. And I think that's something that
We still could have fully standardize.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not.
It won't happen, but.
API law comes out.
Guys, I want to talk a little bit about your rejected users. So what are you doing with those rejected users? Do you optimize your traffic? Do you analyze the percentage of advertisers that are rejecting them into the product? How do you handle it?
Like if we reject, when it comes to buying traffic, if we reject the user, I don't care anymore because I just close the door and he needs to go somewhere else. So it's not my business anymore.
As a publisher.
As an
advertiser, I don't care.
But when it comes to us like selling the traffic and someone rejects the first lead, of course I try to sell it to someone else because the rejection can have several reasons. If the users are already existing in the database, nothing wrong about it. Like most likely someone else will be interested in that user. If I see rejections on a higher level, then I of course need to ask myself what am I sending there? What am I selling? Is it is the quality maybe just bad? So I need to turn it back into my own media buying, for example, and optimize there.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking about being a publisher and sending leads that are being constantly rejected. How do you check over this, and what systems do you have in place?
Alright, so on our side, before we even submit the lead, we have our own fraud prevention, because there is nothing worse than a month afterwards be like, oh, I'm not going to pay you for 20% of the leads because they were fraud. So nobody wants that. And what we do, we check the lead before we submit it, and most of the time we catch the fraud before the advertiser does, which is beautiful because then we don't lose money, because we're a network, we pay the affiliate. So if there is fraud, I want to catch it before anybody else. And then if it gets rejected by my top advertisers, I usually submit that lead on RTB and I send it to CPC.
Well, usually I think
The
that
letters.
it's more important to publisher, not to advertiser, what to do with rejected leads. Of course, you send once lead is rejected by one advertiser, you send it forward to the cascade. And so if no one, for example, you have 10 advertisers in the cascade, no one accepts the lead, you have to think about sources for reply, because it means absolutely fraud. But if not, if someone accepts, you still have to analyze traffic sources, and of course to select those one who is not generating this rejected leads. But there is things to optimize on the side of publishers.
Also, having the advertisers should have it geared up so well that they're accepting everything they want and rejecting everything they don't want, and there should be as few as in between each other as possible. Because if a source has a high rejection rate, okay, it may be that you have closed a certain OS and you're rejecting that for that reason, and the OS that you do want, you're buying more of. So it doesn't necessarily, just because a high rejection
doesn't mean it's fraud.
doesn't mean it's a bad source. It just means it isn't what you want. But as I said, just because one advertiser doesn't want it doesn't mean another just because one advertiser maybe doesn't want it doesn't mean another advertiser won't want it as well.
So just like a simple example for this. Imagine that as an advertiser, you are not good at emailing Yahoo.
Yeah.
You're going to reject every lead that comes with a Yahoo email because you know you're not able to deliver that email. That doesn't mean that that is a bad lead. It just means that you know you're not able to monetize it, so it makes no sense for you to pay for it. Therefore, you will reject it, but somebody else that is actually good at emailing Yahoo will take it gladly.
And
So that's what you do with API.
a good advertiser, a good publisher should be looking at the reasons why. So hey, I see this source is getting rejected a lot. Can we speak about or look at the logs? Well, what's the reasons for this? And then you can learn about your traffic. Learn, okay, I see that OS is doing better with them, so I'm going to buy more of that OS because I see it's accepted more and they're paying me more for it. So yeah, pay attention to what you should pay attention to why it's been rejected and why it's been accepted.
Yeah, the rejection reasons from my perspective is one of the most important things for both sides, the publisher and advertiser, because they tell you everything about either your own product, your own database, or your traffic quality. Because the rejection reasons, I mean, I think we have close to 100 different reasons now. They tell you everything. You don't need to analyze anything else.
I want to talk a little bit about filtering. So I know we're working with a couple of you, and we know that you do some advanced filtering based on the type of user, the age of the user, what kind of offer they're looking for. Could you elaborate if you guys are, of course, have that in place, or what's working best, filtering process for you guys?
Well, I think that really depends on the offer, what's working best. There's we have different target groups, but age, for example, is something we filter as well, especially for the mainstream products. We don't allow people under 40 because the product is targeted to people over 40. So yeah, that filtering definitely we do a lot, and we see that it does work better with API because people can pre-filter to some extent.
Age is difficult though. Because once
To
you
some
add that
extent.
to the landing page, it's like an extra,
It's important for publishers and for advertisers. If advertiser can, for example, give a different score and give a different price to different age groups, that helps him to optimize to like buying from this traffic. For publisher, he has to know his advertisers, target group of customers who buys or not buys. Some advertisers accept like more younger audience. Some advertisers opposite, loves audience like 40 plus. Publisher can filter on his end, buy like pre-render and send like proper traffic to advertiser who accepts his list, who prefers this list.
Like, in an ideal world, an advertiser could be like, okay, I'm gonna have very high filters. And I'm only gonna take the traffic that I absolutely want. I don't mind paying a lot for it. But then you're gonna be
nobody's
working-
gonna send them traffic.
Yeah, you're gonna work with publishers that, okay, in an ideal world, I would give you only this traffic, but I have this. So yeah, if you have your filters are too strong and too strict, then yeah,
Then it
you'll
would be better
increasing
just
the-
for direct.
Because
Yeah.
you're rejecting so much that you're just
Yeah.
causing delays.
It's like having a nightclub and the bouncers don't want to let anyone in. Like, okay, you're a pretty girl. you
If
can
there's
have
5
that.
guests per night, then
Yeah,
it's not gonna go well.
You've got
Yeah.
5 people at the bar buying drinks when you
Yeah.
could have a full nightclub. So yeah, you can be strict.
That is a great analogy.
Yeah.
But browser, for example, is a filter which we use a lot. I mean, there are certain browser types which just create troubles or are most likely fraud, and there are other browser types which generally work pretty well. And browser language combined with the location of the user, if that doesn't fit, for example, as well, it's not a super good sign for high quality traffic. So those are like pretty easy filters which are easy to implement, but which will help a lot already.
So we mentioned briefly about direct link and API. Of course, it's important to do both, but do you guys feel like you're mostly doing API, or are you mostly doing direct link? Or what do you guys prefer?
I'm like 50% API.
We're coming from 0% API traffic 5 years ago, and today I would say we already get 40% of our overall volume through API, and of course it's going up to 50, 60, never be 100%, but I guess somewhere between 60 and 70% if everyone in the industry has an API who needs an API, then it might be that range.
Yes, I think also there's a lot of requests for API traffic, a lot more than like in the past couple of years. So most of the affiliates asking us now, yeah, do you have API available?
But it's still important to keep both ways, like direct link tracking and API. Just because a direct link is easier way just to start receiving traffic. And API is another level, it's much more professional level of sending and receiving traffic. So, but it gives you volumes, it gives you more analytics on traffic applied. And so that's why it's important to keep both.
Yeah. But if I have a completely new publisher who is asking for an API, I would not do it from the beginning. I would always start with a direct link and then see generally how the traffic quality is, and based on those numbers then decide about API. Because at the end it's still some tech development work which you need to do on your side.
Another thing with this, as an advertiser, to take on API, you have to be very, very good at emailing, because that's how you have to activate those users. It's a different flow, and it affects all your email infrastructure. So if you're not good at emailing, it's going to destroy your operation. So in order to take more API traffic, you have to do separate structures and be really, really good at the one that is eventually going to merge the users to your regular traffic emailing structure.
API used to be 30 words, and I think it still is for some advertisers, because the direct linking and sending to a lander does add a certain element of protection. Like the emailing can be detrimental if you're just buying a bunch of, you've got less control of people just sending loads of users in via API, and then you're left there with dealing with issues. So you need to have the proper capabilities in the back end to handle API as well. But yeah, as Marksel was saying, it's getting more and more popular. Yes, the technology behind it is more advanced than sending on a direct link, but it's only going to get easier as time goes on and people have solutions like yourselves. Like so we can speak about this every year, and there'll be more to speak about every year.
From an advertiser standpoint, of course, you mentioned just sending in loads and loads of users. You have to have a strong product, not to overwhelm it. Delay times in messaging or how they're reacting, and it's incredibly important. Do you guys want to talk about EPCs with your API and how you can form like a really strong connection between publisher and advertiser?
Like my personal experience is, before you talk about the EPC, you always should clarify based on
How is the calculation? How do you calculate your EPC?
Exactly. Because like some people calculate the EPC based on all the attempts they send, others only on accepted attempts, and it's a very, very big difference, and that's especially as for the advertiser, it's a very big difference, like how to deal with those setups from the early beginning. So if someone just calculates based on accepted attempts, that of course gives you the chance to come up with super high payouts and just pick the raisins. If each attempt gets calculated, then
and it depends if they retry everything, right?
Exactly.
Because I do attempt, but I never submit the same user twice. Once I hit you once and you say no, I'm not gonna send that user again. But if I send you 1,000 users and you're taking 50, guess what? You're just causing delays in my cascade. I don't want to talk to you. Like, no matter how much you're paying me for those users, what I'm losing by causing those delays is not worth it. So you want something where you have enough acceptance rate and a good EPC all across, because you still want to place all your traffic. You don't want one advertiser taking all your top traffic and then everybody else gets crappy traffic. You want to work with the advertisers that are willing to do a little bit of both and be smarter on your side, so you're not constantly submitting the same user over and over again.
The best advertisers on API are the ones that are able to be flexible. Like, okay, I know you can, you prefer acceptance. okay, I'm going to give you a slightly lower payout, but the acceptance rate is going to be higher because I know that's for you important, and I'm going to get better traffic from you because of that. Okay, or do I have to give you a higher payout and be more selective? So if you only work in one way, you're only going to get one type of, or you're not going to do well with the person that works the other way. So the best advertisers are flexible with how they can buy, they can control the way their API works and accepts, customizable.
I think the most important part of it is like to be in touch with the source and check there's EPC, because there's a flow, like click on a promo, pass in the funnel, live session, conversion. But advertiser can see only like these last two steps. But publishers still buy clicks because user has to pass all the flow. And so I think like the best way is to, if the traffic fits for your product, to check and to make some agreement on the rates, on the models. You can, API is like the amazing thing because you can agree different models of cooperation. You can pay by click, pay by lead, and any action. So
Flexibility. We like flexibility.
just it's more negotiation.
You can even
Ah, sweetie, that's anyone do that.
and just talking about options.
Just put it out there.
Yeah, we offer it as well. But
You stay right there. We'll wait.
okay,
Not super successful, to be very honest.
Of course, this is mostly for dating, but I know that a few of you dabble in other industries, and maybe somebody in the audience is also interested in hearing about how you guys are using API maybe in gaming or gambling or other industries. If you guys want to
Gambling's
elaborate.
still not open for API. Lead generation does API, and it kind of works similarly. Crypto also uses API, but it's different because you submit the lead and then there is call centers and all of this happens. The beauty of API in dating is that you get the rejection live, so you can send it elsewhere. With other products, you can use API as a system, but you're submitting the lead and waiting for that advertiser to convert the lead. So it's not as advanced as it is in dating.
But gambling also deal with API, by the way, but not all of them, of course, because in gambling they really keep about the databases. No one wants to share it. In dating, everyone
has the same database.
In gambling, no, it's fine.
I think
I will do it for myself.
the main reason is the products are not super different. So
Well, they're not different. Everyone
Same.
in gambling actually
Yeah.
uses the same backends.
Yeah.
All they do is like that in different front end. So they are very like they work like silos. No advertiser wants to cross promote. Nobody's sending traffic to each other. It's very like these are my people. And dating is like go.
I think that's one thing that APIs help deal with actually, maybe advertisers selling to advertisers. Because, I use this analogy a lot, but it used to be that if you got 100 users, you could monetize 15%. But now that other 85%, okay, I'm not, like the Yahoo examples, we can then sell these users on to other advertisers. And we are more open about it. We do share, like, it used to be very competitive. I
It's
think
competitive, but it's different competitive.
Yeah, like we used to we can't walk, don't even talk to them, don't work. We were hunting for the same publishers, but now we're all doing business with each other because we're able to make money on each other's database. It's made things nicer. You know traffic from another member's area is probably going to do well in someone else's member's area as well.
Exactly, I agree. We have a few more minutes if any of the audience members would like to ask questions to our panelists.
Of course.
Yes, so was Google planning to kill cookies? And email becoming harder every single year, and many companies already don't know how to mail properly. How do you think this will challenge the API that it is right now, that everyone invested in, and what are you planning to do to overcome these challenges?
I think SMS will play a bigger role. Texting, push, like other ways to talk to that user.
Moritz, I remember last year you said you didn't like SMS.
Yeah, I really don't think that SMS is going to be a big thing just because of the fact that the youth projection will get tougher and tougher and tougher, and it's impossible to do that in SMS, but
Also GDPR is SMS a lot
Yeah.
rather than email.
but I don't see a real alternative to the email, to the Google email way.
And actually, if
We need to be even more creative than
Yeah.
we used to do when it comes to setting
Yeah.
up new ESPs. And
if Google turns down emailing, I think like all industry will be affected, not only API stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
then that's why I don't think it's going to be that tough, because then Google is building its own ecosystem, and
yeah.
they know that it's not going to be smart from their perspective as well. So I
No,
don't
they
think
don't.
it's going to be that tough.
But cookies, yeah, I guess more and more we'll see APIs
Sure.
because it's the perfect like backdoor.
Next question?
Okay, for QA.
He was there first.
Yes. Enricos, please look at who's.
In the back.
Thank you. So my question would be, let's say I want to be an advertiser. I have a clear database. Would I need to start with API straight away? I don't reject leads because I don't have them. Would that be wise? For example, Morris mentioned that 5 years ago you have 0 API. Right now you have like 40%. If I don't have any emails, if like today I started accepting leads, do I need an API straight away? Accepting all the leads, I would need to wait like 1, 2, 3, 5 years, and only after that, once I have a database, start doing API stuff.
You kill your database. If you do that, you destroy your business in like 2 days. You have to warm up your IPs for email. If you just took a bunch of users right off the bat on API, you will be out of business. Like you have to slowly warm up your IPs where you're emailing from, and slowly introducing API on the side. Else, you won't have like a robust structure to support your business as an advertiser. So it's amazing, it's a great way to get cheaper traffic, but the devil is in the details. You don't play with API.
And empty database most likely means you do not really know how your product performs, so you don't have your own internal KPIs. You do not really know what to pay for an API, and if you get the wrong publisher, you get bankrupt within 3 hours.
But
They will
Also like,
plus, it's not also just about the repetitive users and duplicates. It's also like, yeah, you don't know what filters or what safeguards to put in place because you don't know what's bad and what's good yet for your system.
your product is also not going to be like perfect from the start, so you might want to start slowly, see like where do you need to improve something, what things don't work 100%. I wouldn't just go and flood everything on the basis of like, hey, I have a product there.
Thank you guys.
There's a
In the
question in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor guy.
I know.
He's been waiting.
Thank you guys. Affiliates here with dating traffic. Maybe I missed it, but you guys told that the main hassle and the main problem for affiliates to start the API is integration, tech part, and all this kind of stuff. But what about the legal part of the business when affiliates need to gather data from the users? In terms of all this kind of shit with GDPR, strict policies in the United States, and so on. What kind of risks affiliates have, and what kind of solutions you provide for affiliates with them?
No, that's still on you. You have to have it on your terms and conditions that you will be sharing that data to your marketing partners. As an affiliate, it's on your terms and conditions on your pre-lander that how you will use that data. And it's on you to register as a data custodian with whatever authorities where your business is based. And then you submit to the advertiser, but the advertiser is not here to hold your hand on this one. You have to know what you're doing, and pretty much the risk is on you. So if you don't protect yourself legally, the advertiser is not liable because they're just receiving from you. They have their own legal liabilities.
Yeah. Often advertisers have a separate agreement or an IO for API for that exact reason. There's the premise of responsibility there.
Yeah, well, both parts are responsible for what they do. If you want to break the law, so you will get maybe to the jail, maybe something more. But anyway, so
What
the-
a stocky reason to go
the-
to jail, Bob, said from API.
something more. I agree. But anyway, your database, you can do it if you use it in an illegal way. So
Okay, but let's say this can work in terms of direct advertisers. Yeah, we have like cascade integration with direct guys. But what about you who is like doing some kind of cascade integrations and you providing solution with API cascade? And as far as I understood, like for us affiliates, we need to put a policy right on our landing pages.
Yeah.
But in these policies, we should provide every and each part when we send this traffic to.
Ah.
I mean, you can, but that's gonna be
I mean,
dynamic
like,
term and
we
condition.
have no idea what you guys doing with these leads. Like maybe you spam them, maybe you resell them to like third party, 10 party, like.
Yeah, but if you keep it general and say you sell it to third party, then you should be covered. And the same is what we're doing when we do cascade. The user somehow needed to go through our sign up form, and there he accepted the terms of condition as well. So, and that's where we're saying
You submit
might
to marketing
end up-
partners.
You might end up somewhere else. Yeah. So.
You might end up anywhere and everywhere.
Anyway, if you walk through some platform, some solution, and they have a possibility they can see your data, so it's like their responsibility. They cannot do that. It's illegal because in terms of everything. So you, of course, signing like agreements between both parties, and so everyone have to follow. That's it.
One
Yeah,
final
that's-
question?
Yeah, just one more from me, quick one.
And one more for somebody else.
Yeah, of course. Do you guys consider providing some kind of services for upselling the databases that affiliates may have? Like for example, doing email marketing with affiliate database.
I think I'm sure everyone tried that in the past,
And it doesn't work.
Everyone burned his fingers pretty much because I don't think there's just one email list in this lovely planet which is good enough to take this risk at the end, because you're getting something where you don't have any idea where the data is coming from, you don't know anything about the quality, and you risk your own email reputation. So I would never do it again.
But there are some agencies that do it. I know affiliates that do it. I know people monetize databases on RevShare,
Yeah, but
but
yeah.
not something I would like. I would try at all.
Yeah, this is on you because, of course, even we have tools to make additional monetization, but you have to be approved by advertiser to send, for example, cold API or send like second offer click to another advertiser. You have to agree on that. So of course there is like every media buyer do that. But the thing is, like, everybody knows that everybody does. But if we think about things have to be correct, so you have to approve every step. So if you resell this click, this email to another advertiser, so you have to agree.
I know, but it's going to destroy your conversion rate.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
I don't touch cold API because I hate the conversion rate, and it's terrible for email, and like also call registration, terrible for conversion rate. Like it's hot API with a live user. That's what's going to work best for both the publisher and the advertiser. So at the end of the day, if the advertiser doesn't make money, they're gonna turn off your traffic.
Again, there is like opportunity to do that. So there is like a solution for that. But of course, you will kill your right. You will kill the conversion. But if you want, you can try.
Data's yours.
One more final question?
The gentleman
Yes,
here in the first
okay.
row.
My question is, when she also asked me about AI, Web 4. Web 4 is, I guess, will be more of the AI digital twin. So let's say the AI and the digital twin make malicious leads. How will you know that the lead being generated by AI is a real lead or a fake lead? And what will be your standard to adjust it so that the API can filter it and not send malicious traffic? Like if competing website want to kill your website, and they send you malicious traffic. How would you know?
Exactly how you stop Filipinos.
It's not, I mean, it's not directly related to AI. I mean, this kind of fraud topic the industry is dealing with since the very beginning.
Ongoing.
No, I'm saying now with the AI.
No, but
It makes no difference.
AI generated leads are nothing else than bots, which we are fighting with since, I don't know, 15 years,
beginning
20
of
years,
time.
beginning of ever. So it's the same. The AI generates email addresses and accounts under certain patterns always, and it's the same what bots do. So fraud detection needs to follow the patterns and needs to learn as well. So what we do, what we try to establish is teaching our fraud detection tool AI based. So whatever has happened in the market, whatever we get kind of fraud traffic, the AI hopefully learns and identifies later before we even pay for it.
Fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
Man, you're quick with it.
He is full of those one-liners.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for attending today. Let's go ahead and give a round of applause right now.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.